Welcome to the presentation of Readiness for Change in Business Contexts, a systematic literature review. My name is Frank VOGGENREITER, and I also want to thank the other authors, Margarida, PINHEIRO and Marquez from the University of Seville. Change is a topic that is significant for business. There's a lot of suffering of people involved when change happens. And readiness for change is actually the science area where we want to figure out how people are affected, that they're either open for change or not. So there are two forces that actually make people accept change, and forces that make it hard for people, and they actually start to build resistance of change. The objective of this work is to create a systematic literature review of the last 10 years from 2012 to 2022 to get a good overview of available work related to readiness for change. And the additional goal had been to identify a list of all antecedents of readiness for change that are mentioned in literature. The keywords therefore are change readiness, literature review, and state of the art. Let's first look at the data set used. We used Web of Science for a literature analysis, and we identified 79 publications matching all set criteria in the publication time frame of 1st of January 2011 to 31st December of 2021. So all the content that we found had been analyzed, the main authors, key topics identified, and the top publishing journals and locations listed in the work. The relevance, interesting, of this scientific area is an increasing topic. As we can see from 2011 to 2021, there is actually an increase that we can see. In general, it remains to mention that there are relatively few publications on readiness for change. Here you can see the PRISMA selection process that we followed. We started with a search with 187 papers. With improving the search, we could identify 20 further papers that did not match the criteria, so we reduced it to 167 and 9 review articles. We excluded another 88 papers and 4 review articles because of the reason that they were not really business focused, and the paper should have a focus on business relevant papers. So we came up with these 79 articles, out of them 5 review articles that we wanted to work with. We assessed them further on eligibility by individual review process with 2 researchers reviewing all these articles to match the criteria, and could finally really identify these 97 out of them 5 review articles. We looked at the journals most readiness for change publications had been published. The Journal of Organizational Change came up first with 12 publications, followed by the Journal of Applied Behavioral Science with 4, and the Journal of Knowledge Management with 4. The other ones with 3, 2, and all the other ones had been only 1 publication. If you look at the authors, we find that Corner had been the most publishing author with 3 publications, and followed only by authors with 2 publications, which is also not a very high number of publications in one field of science. If you look at the top countries, by far the most articles had been published in the US, followed by Pakistan, England, Germany, and New Zealand, Australia, and then it goes to Canada, France, and other countries. But what we see is that from all areas in the world there are publications, which is interesting, as it shows that there is interest of the topic in all countries around the world. We also see that, and that's not a surprise because we filtered on business relevant papers, but the area of science, most publications were in business economics, followed by healthcare science, psychology, followed by behavioral sciences, and then it went into other areas of science. The results we figured out were obviously a list of all mentioned antecedents of change readiness. We came to that result following an in vivo coding process with a proper codebook approach and multiple coding circles. We also used a deep text analysis tool for all the review articles from the last 10 years. We recognized that learning and knowledge management is an important antecedent that requires further research, and the review papers analysis summary. Let me quickly show you the results. The antecedents of change are probably the most significant result. I haven't seen them listed like that before, and the antecedents can be categorized in a couple of different categories: capability, job, meaning, resources for change, experience, leadership, personality, and willingness. As a conclusion for this paper, I would like to mention that readiness for change is a topic of increasing scientific attention, with very few but highly relevant conceptual publications, which underlines the scientific relevance. The publications are mentioned in here. You can easily find an overview of the type of paper, the geographical region, the research question of the paper, the methods used, and the research contribution mentioned. There are no empirical publications in the last decade that really add deeper insight into the antecedents of change, and I think this is an area for future research. This work provides all the identified antecedents of change as an extra, easier access possibility for future research. This work is limited by its business focus, by the limitation on English publications only, and the Web of Science dataset. Thank you very much for listening and reviewing my publication, and any comments or feedback is very welcome. Please feel free to reach out. Thank you very much.